My name is Aydan Kool. I'm from Singapore. I was born in the UK, but I grew up in Singapore. And I'm doing my master's degree in management with a track in financial management at Nyenrode Business University in Amsterdam. The main reasons why I chose to come to the Netherlands from Singapore to do my master's was actually I did my bachelor's in the Netherlands as well. My dad is actually Dutch, so he gave me a suggestion to go to the Delft Technological University, where I did my bachelor's in aeronautical engineering in Delft. And through my bachelor's, I figured out that I actually liked the commercial side of engineering. So I decided to do a master's in a more business sector, which is why I chose Nyenrode. Nyenrode is a small university, and what makes it nice for it, that's a plus point, is because it's very personal. So you actually form bonds with your professors and your thesis supervisors, and you're not just a number at Nyenrode. Whenever you have any issues, you are always welcome to talk to anyone, program directors, professors, and it has a very involved community. It also has a very involved career development department, which really aids you in being able to find a job. So we've had workshops on how to do interviews, how to make your CVs, how to apply to certain jobs. And yeah, so I think it's a very overall, all-round experience on top of the actual academic degree. When I was a child, I really was interested in the aviation sector. I wanted to be a pilot. But coming from Singapore, we're more about paper. So my mom actually suggested me to take a study in aeronautical engineering, because that's in the aviation sector, and engineering is always a stable job. So that's what I did. And through my study, I saw, I quite like it, but I gravitated towards the commercial side of things. Like I liked public speaking, I liked presentations. And through study advice from my professors in my bachelor's, they also said that you might perform even better if you were to work towards becoming maybe a sales engineer or something more commercial, because that's where your strengths lie. So I took that into account, and then I saw I was looking for business universities, and approaching the industry from both ends is really beneficial in my opinion, because now I have a solid base in aeronautical engineering, and with my master's in management and financial management, I'm able to become the bridge between the two departments, which usually you would think has a lot of communication errors, so to speak. In engineering, we're very much focused on the numbers and understanding exactly how to calculate stuff, and knowing, okay, so if I need to find B, I know that I need to use this equation to find B. And what I found in finance is, yes, you need to have those equations, but it is more about understanding the entire concept. It's more conceptual than actually the nitty-gritty in the numbers, so to speak. I had never taken economics before. I never taken marketing or anything like that. So these were entirely new concepts to me, which I found extremely interesting, and I actually excelled in it. But it was very beneficial for me to have my engineering background, because the numbers did not scare me. And that was the main point of contention for most students, that they had troubles with economics because there were so many equations, and finance as well with all the numbers. But as coming from an engineering background, those are pretty easy concepts to grasp. But the overall picture is what we focus more on, less so the actual equations and memorizing these equations and knowing where to apply them. However, there is no one real right answer, not like in engineering where you really have the equations, you know that you have a definite answer. So that opens it up to a lot more discussion. And also, because of the nature of the masters, people are more outspoken. And so there were quite some heated discussions between people, and it helps you learn a lot about group dynamics. And one thing in Nyenrode as well is that they really emphasize the study of group dynamics. You know your role within the group, and how you and what in a more holistic view of how you work with other people. So it was very eye-opening. Actually, there's you don't really notice that in a bachelor's in engineering, because everyone just kind of like, okay, divide the task and let's just go, And now there's a lot more discussion. I am a bit of an all-rounder, like a jack of all trades. Because I come from engineering, I'm okay with just going with the flow and just going, and working. But because of my own personality, I am also quite opinionated. So I have partaken in these discussions. But from my management drives and the analysis and personality tests that I've taken at Nyenrode, I found that I'm more of a group-centric worker. But I'm kind of split between an analytical, chairman role, and like a group worker. So I found that quite aligned with how I saw myself subconsciously, and now that it came to light, I was like, okay, I kind of agree with that. To embrace the culture at Nyenrode, because I feel that the Nyenrode experience is so much more than just what you study. In both Amsterdam and Breukelen, there are 2 associations, one at each, and I think it's actually quite beneficial and important to be a part of those associations, not just for the parties and everything, but because, for example, in Amsterdam we have a lot of formal events, which is very beneficial in my opinion. We have breakfast sessions where we invite people to invite CEOs of companies to give a case presentation on their own company, and we invite alumni, professionals in the field, and current students to sit together at over breakfast pre-corona to discuss the case and then present their solution. So we have workshops like that, which I think are really nice first-hand experience and a networking tool that people should take advantage of. I think it's a lot of personal development, and personal development can only come from yourself. The Nyenrode gives you the tools to do that, but you need to take advantage of them yourself. So yeah, I would suggest or advise future students to keep that in mind and to put yourself out there and partake in all of these activities apart from just the study. So, for example, in Amsterdam, we are very happy when members just bring up their own ideas and form their own committees, and they say, okay, I want to do this. And be like, great, let's do it. So, I hope that future students don't shy away from taking the initiative from doing things like that. And that's an important thing to have in Nyenrode, is initiative. We actually did not have any study delay or anything like that. We just straight away adapted to an online setting. Lecturers streamed their lectures from either Nyenrode itself. They were on location and they had a camera in front of them and the slides, or from their own homes over Microsoft Teams, which I found to be pretty efficient, especially considering the entire pandemic. Of course, it's not ideal at all, because working online is very different from working in person. The interaction is different, and because Nyenrode really thrives on interactive classes where you really you communicate even non-verbally with your lecturer, and it's a whole dynamic there. It did suffer from that, but as would any lecturer, in my opinion. But I do think Nyenrode handled it pretty well, and I've been speaking with some of my classmates, and we all said like, okay, it's actually pretty good that they did this so quickly. For the next year, I believe that at least part of the curriculum will be online, and while that does take away from some of the experience, the classes are not the entire Nyenrode experience. The associations that I mentioned are still working to try and create events, organize events and activities for students to take part in, so that they keep this experience, this Nyenrode spirit and this atmosphere, and to prolong it. if COVID were to end next year, that would be great. But if it doesn't end, let's say it doesn't end ever, then the experience will change. But I still do think it is worth it to go to Nyenrode, because on top of just like I said, on top of just the academic stuff, you have a lot of personal development and career development. And I think that's invaluable, whether it's online or offline. It's a very useful tool to have. So I still do think it's worth it to go to Nyenrode.